Hello everyone, it's Michelle Lupton here, and today I'm going to be showing you the JoAnn's Hero Arts kit for July 2023. So we have the Birthday Stamp and Cut XL set, the Birthday Balloons Bold Prints stamp. We have some card stock, so we have Paradise, Blue, Amethyst and some white glitter card stock. You can see we have some acetate sheets, sort of little clear card panels. We have some intensified black ink, some unicorn white pigment ink. We have some white sparkle embossing powder, some stardust sequins, and one thing I didn't show was the silver hero pearls. So I'm going to be showing you today a few cards that I've made using this kit. So this kit is awesome value. It retails at $32.99, but it has $65 worth of value, and it's only available on JoAnn.com. So if you want it, make sure you get onto it. So what I've done here is I've taken a sheet of each of the coloured cardstock. So you get one sheet each of blue, amethyst and white glitter cardstock and Paradise cardstock, and that's the one I'm using right now. And what I've done is I've stamped with the unicorn white pigment ink, and I'm embossing with the white sparkle embossing powder. So this is actually white embossing powder. It's not clear, but it has some awesome sparkle in it. And I've done that, the same process with all three of these coloured cardstocks. So I've got exactly the same panel on each one. Now I'm taking these dies out of the Stamp and Cut set. Awesome size sentiments here. So we've got both the Happy Birthday die and also the Celebrate die, and I'm going to be using both of those today. So I decided I wanted to make a shaker card because I've got some clear card panels and I've also got some stardust sequins. I thought I'll have to make a shaker card. So the one thing that I've used that is not part of the kit, I've got a circle die. So this is one of the Hero Arts nesting infinity dies, the circle dies. And of course I'm also using some white cardstock as a base for my cards. Now I've just decided I'm going to cut all of these panels down so that on my card front I will have a little bit of a white border all around this coloured panel. I always like to have a little bit of white somewhere on my card. Now I decided I'd only make one shaker card out of these panels, but you see those pieces? We're going to come back to them a little bit later on because waste not, want not. Okay, so I've got my panel here. I'm going to tape my circle die onto the front, and then I'm going to run it through my my die cutting machine, and I've done that with all three of those panels. Okay, so now I'm going to start constructing the shaker card. So for this first one, I'm using the panel of Paradise cardstock, and I decided I wanted my sentiment to be cut out of the white glitter cardstock. So I've cut both sentiments from the white glitter cardstock. I'm also now cutting down my piece of the clear panel because I don't need the whole thing. I just need it to be behind that circle window on my card. So I'm just going to cut it down, and you never know, I might be able to use that extra little bit of acetate on another card sometime soon. All right, so once I've done that, I'm going to adhere that acetate to the back of my panel. Now, I am notorious for always using way too much glue, so I'm being careful here not to use too much glue. So I've got my Hero Arts glue here. This is the precision glue. And you can see I've run a line of glue around the circle on the cardstock, but then I've put a line of glue just around the corners of the acetate so that it'll stick nice and firm. All right, so that's my shaker window done, but I'm actually going to build up some space behind it using some foam tape. Okay, so I've just a really good trick with making a shaker card. When you've got foam tape, it's really, really hard to bend it around a shape like a circle when it's got the backing tape on it. So I just remove the backing tape. So it is very sticky and it is getting stuck to stuff, but it'll go around that circle nice and easy, and I won't have to worry about it too much. I'm just putting the narrow bit of foam tape down the edges of the card, but then I'll use wider foam tape near the top and the bottom. And I'm adding plenty of this foam tape to make sure my card doesn't sag at all. Now I've taken the blue circle from another panel and put it behind the shaker window on this card, just so I have a little bit of contrast happening there. It'll be easier to see those shaker elements, the little stardust sequins, if there's something dark behind them. So I've just made a little pile of those sequins onto that blue circle. I'm going to place my panel right on top, and now I'm just going to get out my sentiment and get that ready to adhere. So it's really easy to just pop out those little bits inside some of the letters and get that ready. Now, with some of my sentiments on the cards today, I decided I wanted them to be a little bit thicker, a little bit more sturdy. So I actually die cut this extra happy birthday sentiment just from the same white cardstock that I've used on my card base, which is Nina Solar White in the 110 pounds. So it's nice and sturdy. So I'm using, again, the precision glue to adhere those two layers together. Gives you a little wiggle room to make sure you've got everything lined up nicely, and then I'll be able to place that over my shaker window. I'm going to need to replace this bottle of precision glue, because you can see every time I need to use it, I need to shake it down to make sure I've got glue right near the tip. But had enough for the cards today, and I do have a spare one in the drawer over there, so it's all good. All right, so I'm going to just place that down onto my card front, and that is that card done. The one thing I did finish off with is I used the silver hero pearls. Can you see that in the middle of the little stars and little circles just dotted around? I just placed a little bit of that silver hero pearls in each of those. Now, for my next card, I decided I wanted a little bit of a drop shadow on my sentiment, just to give a little bit of a colour behind the white sentiment, because I wasn't going to put another circle of colour behind that window. So to put a little bit of colour behind it just gave a little bit of contrast, made it a lot easier to read there. So this one, I'm not going to be using foam tape. I'm just adhering it straight to my card base. Again, I'm using precision glue, so I've got a little bit of wiggle room if I don't get it on exactly straight. And then I'm going to adhere my sentiment. But I decided I wanted to stamp a sub-sentiment on this one, which is also from that Birthday Stamp and Cut XL set. And I'm using the intensified black ink cube to stamp the sentiment in there. And I'll be able to adhere my sentiment, my die cut sentiment, directly above that. So it certainly looks very bright and celebration like, because we've got the glitter cardstock there, and again I've put those little silver hero pearls, little dots around the card. Just adds a little bit of shine, which is really nice. Now for this third card, I decided I wanted something a little bit different, and because I have a relatively dark coloured cardstock and I've got white pigment in, I thought, why not? I'll colour in the balloons. So I just smooshed some of this unicorn white pigment ink onto my work surface, and I'm using a water brush to just paint that ink over my balloons. So some of the balloons came out more opaque than others, but that was okay. I was happy with that look, that some of them were brighter and some of them were a little bit more see-through than others. Again, this one I'm adhering it straight to my card base, so no extra dimension on this one with any foam tape. You can see there's those little strips that I'm going to come back to in just a few minutes. Now with this one, I thought I'd see what it would look like if I embossed on top of the blue cardstock, because I thought you might be able to see the edge of the blue cardstock through when I cut the sentiment, but I actually think I wouldn't have bothered doing it next time. I would just use the glitter cardstock. The white glitter cardstock, because I didn't really see much of the blue from the side of the die cut. And I ended up actually cutting this sentiment twice, once from just the blue and once from this embossed. So you can see I can't really see much of the blue there. So I've cut another one and I'm going to be layering them up exactly the same as I did with the previous card, so that there's a bit of a drop shadow happening there. So, I mean, it still looks great. It gives a little bit more sort of texture to the die cut, and you've got the glitter in there as well. It's just a slightly different look than the white glitter cardstock. But anyway, there you go. So I'm adhering this again with the liquid glue, and to finish this one off, yet again, I used the Silver Hero pearls on all the little stars and dots around all the balloons in the background. I did decide I wanted another sub-sentiment on this one, but there wasn't really much room with the happy birthday sentiment there. So what I did was I took the leftover bit of the blue cardstock and I have stamped a little sub-sentiment in the unicorn pigment ink, embossing it with the white sparkle embossing powder. And I'm just using my scissors to fussy cut around that sentiment nice and tight, so that I can put that directly underneath my sentiment, again with liquid glue, just to give something a little bit different. And when you see the up close photo, again, you'll be able to see those Silver Hero pearls giving a little bit of shine in the background. Now I'm going to show you all three cards all together now, but do you remember I have 2 circles cut out and all those strips left over from cutting those panels down, so I couldn't let them go to waste. I made another card out of those. So you can see I've actually used the back side of those strips, so it's just plain, and I've added some of those silver hero pearls again with a celebrate sentiment in the middle. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy and I hope you subscribe. Bye.